Verse 14, I have given them your word, and the world has hated them because they are not of the world, just as I am not of the world. I do not pray that you should take them out of the world, but that you should keep them from the evil one. Keep them. So Jesus prays for the perseverance of the disciples, the preservation of the disciples. He prays that the disciples would be kept by the Father. He prayed for the Father to guard them. He prayed for their protection. Now, this prayer presupposes danger. It presupposes danger. Jesus understood that his departure, him leaving the disciples in this world, was going to be dangerous. Why? Because he is leaving his disciples in a dangerous world. A world that is full of wickedness, a world that is full of sin, a world that is full of lust, a world that is filled with evil. So Jesus prays to the Father, keep them from all of that. Now, there are two ways in which the world cannot influence a believer. There are two ways that the world cannot influence the believer. One of the ways is to be taken out of the world. You see, when we die, the world will no longer have influence over us. When we die, the world will no longer entice us to sin. Temptation is removed when we die. But Jesus says, I am no longer in the world, but these are in the world. He also says, I pray that you should not take them out of the world. So Jesus does not want us to be out of the world. That's why Jesus is praying, Father, keep them. Protect them from the evil one. Protect them from the evil that is in the world. Don't take them out of the world, but protect them. So the first way for the world to not have influence over us is to be taken out, but Jesus prays against that. The second way for the world to not have influence over the believer is to be kept, to be preserved by the Father. Father, keep us. Don't take them out of the world, Father, but keep them. The world will have hardship. The world will have trouble. The world will have tribulation, but Father, keep them. The world is filled with sickness and disease. They will suffer loss of a loved one. Life will be painful. Life will be hard. People will get weary, but Father, keep them. Keep them. Jesus reminds the Father in his prayer that while the 11 was with him on the earth, he has kept them in his name. The only one that was lost was the son of perdition, or the son of destruction. Now, the only reason why he was lost, the only reason why Judas was lost, was to fulfill Scripture. Judas, I believe, was never really a sheep. It wasn't that Judas was found and then was lost. No, Judas was in a consistent, continuous state of lostness. Why? Because to fulfill Scripture. Psalm 41:9 says, even my own familiar friend, in whom I trusted, who ate my bread, has lifted up his heel against me. He fulfilled that Scripture. Now notice, Jesus prays to the Father to keep them. In other words, we cannot keep ourselves. We cannot keep ourselves in our own effort. We need the prayer of Christ. We need the power of God. We need the power of the Spirit to keep us. Amen. After our salvation, after our conversion, after our regeneration, I am so grateful that Jesus has already prayed to the Father to keep us. Amen. And he's still praying that, but we'll get there. Keep us from what? Good question. I'm glad you asked. Keep us from denying Christ. Keep us from being lost. Keep us from sin having dominion over us. Keep us from being influenced by the world. Keep us in the faith despite hardship. Keep us from division. Keep us from error. Keep us from deception. Keep us, Father. Keep us from hypocrisy. Keep us from being an apostate. Keep us from worldliness. Keep us from unholiness. Keep us from being conformed to this world. Father, keep us.